Hi, I'm Rick Rheins, Senior Rabbi at Temple Sinai in Denver, Colorado. This week's Torah portion is Devarim, which is the first through the third chapters of the book of Deuteronomy. We begin the fifth and final book of the Torah, Deuteronomy, known in Hebrew as Mishnah Torah because it repeats much of the law that had been given in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. And in English, we call it Deuteronomy. That's from the Latin nomos, the second giving of the law. So we begin in these first three chapters. Moses is addressing the children of Israel and giving them a little prologue, talking a little bit about their journey up to this point. And so as you read it, you can say it's very much preparing us for the rest of the book of Deuteronomy, and that's indeed the case. But I wanted to focus on one word that comes in the very beginning of the chapters. This would be in chapter 1, verse 12, in which it has the word echa, how. And Moses specifically says, how can I bear the burden, the tircha, the quarrels that you have? How can I, Moses, that's 120 years old, how can I bear the burden of this leadership? That word echa is a theme that we have over the next couple of days. So we have echa in Moses' expression of exasperation, that how can I bear the burden of leadership as an old man? We also have it in the Haftarah portion, which is from the prophet Isaiah. This is in the first chapter of Isaiah 21, in which he also says, echa, how the city of Jerusalem is now become in degradation. And finally, we read Saturday night from the book of Echa, how. This was understood to be written by Jeremiah, who is the prophet who saw the destruction of Jerusalem in the year 586 by the Babylonians, 586 before the Common Era. So some 2,600 years ago, Jeremiah saw Jerusalem destroyed, the children of Israel exiled, the temple destroyed, and he says, Echa, how much in solitude is Jerusalem, our people, is the temple. So this word echa, how, is a refrain that we hear both in the Torah and the Haftarah reading, and then on Saturday night as we read Lamentations from the book of Echa, Saturday night, because it is Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is that awful, the saddest day of the Jewish calendar year, in which we consider the destruction of the first temple in the year 586 before the Common Era, and the destruction of the second temple by the Romans in the year 70. Each time the temple was destroyed, Jerusalem was destroyed, the children of Israel were exiled, and there were so many other calamities that also happened on the 9th of Av. So Saturday night, this coming Saturday night, the beginning of the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, we will come together and we'll read the book, Echa, how. Read those haunting words by Jeremiah, considering all the suffering that he saw, that he witnessed. And we too will say, how? How could it possibly be that a people dedicated to goodness, a people who have this covenant with God, how can this happen? Well, our ancestors, specifically throughout the rabbinic era, over the last 2,000 years, we, without the arrogance of saying, well, we have all the answers, but they came up with a pretty good one. And that is, how did it happen? Well, we have to look in the mirror. What did we do? What could we have done that we didn't do? What did we do that we shouldn't have done? How did we let go of that covenant? How did we become more callous to one another? How did we divide people only by their political aspirations or their religious observance levels, and divided, this is the in group and that's the out group? How did we turn against each other? And indeed, we being then the symbolic of all of the civilization of the world, to say, how is it possible that one human being, one nation of human beings, can turn against another with such cruelty? We exemplify that sense of responsibility to one another. And so this period of time, reading the beginning of Deuteronomy, we start to consider the how in my life, the actions that I've done, and the how of the past history. How did that work out? How did that happen? And then most importantly, what do I need to do now to make a positive difference so that it doesn't happen again? Echem, it's a haunting question. And we can ask that on so many different levels. Of course, from the point of view of history, and of course of the international and national levels. But of course, it starts with the individual. How did I get to this point where my friendship, my relationship has deteriorated to the point where all I can see is this person who disagrees with me, and therefore I've made this person disagreeable, right? I reject them in all this way, and then in turn that I'm rejected, and now we're at odds with one another. How did we get to this point? Echa. So as we have this recapitulation of the Torah, and we read again and consider so many of the laws, we do so now with a different lens, a different perspective. Let's consider where we have been, where we are now, and hopefully how we can do better, going forward. Shabbat Shalom.